All right, welcome everyone to this Force Friday session. This is in honor of CTNX. CTNX is being held this week and it's going to be live all week, obviously on the internet because of the pandemic and COVID-19. So your health announcement here, stay safe, keep a distance and wear a mask. I wanted to just, first of all, just give a quick shout out to Tina, who's been driving CTNX. It's been over 10 years now that it's been going on. And she did a great job of supporting the animation community. It's held in Burbank, California, traditionally in the past, or historically. And if you're here with me at this channel or on drawingforce.com, or you have the books because you're interested in a career in animation, then this is the convention to go to. It's every year right before Thanksgiving, like middle of November. Like I said, it's in Burbank, California, which happens to be the epicenter of the entertainment industry in the entire world. So those of you that are outside of the US and aren't aware of that, like Burbank, California is where it's all at. Okay, it's like Burbank, and then there's a couple of surrounding towns that start to create the sprawl of all of the different studios. But where Tina has placed CTNX, like right down the street, you have like Disney, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, DreamWorks, right? Like they're all right there. So, and I try to be there now every year. So next year, if we're past this darn virus, I will be there. Come on out to CTNX. All the companies are there. They do portfolio reviews. All the greats, people like Glenn Keane, right, spoke this past Thursday. Come to this convention. That's the place to meet and greet. So highly recommend you come out to CTNX. Hopefully I'll see you guys there in the future. Today, I'm trying to tie in this concept of CTNX a little bit with my past and how it pertains to force drawing, right? So today's topic is, why force drawing, right? Like how did we get here? Why is it force drawing that we're focusing on? So let's talk about that. And while I'm getting ready here, let me say hello to the guys, right? How you doing, Diego?
Hey, Mike, how are you guys? Thank you for being here. I'm so excited today. We're going back to drawing, which is a great
Yes.
thing, right?
Yeah. Doing a lot of talking over the last month and a half, right? That's true. How you doing, Swenley?
Good, ready to test if we can still draw after all that talking. I hope
Yeah,
we didn't
looks
lose it.
that's true. And how about you, Mertunjay? Mertunjay brought some extra power with him. We have his twin brother down there. He's going to draw with us as well.
Like my duo, I
So let's see. Today, we're going to get some drawing done, as Swenley just mentioned. So CTNX, animation, right? And how does that pertain to force? Well, for those of you that don't know this, force animation, its foundation, I have to give a lot of that credit to the fact that I was trained at Disney feature animation in the early 90s. I had a very rare opportunity to work on Lion King when I was like 23, 24 years old. So a lot of the stuff I learned out of being an animation artist is what seeped its way into the concept of drawing with force, because in order to animate, you need to you need to know how physics works and gravity works, and understand that characters are moving across time, right? And that's very unique to the aspect of figure drawing. Most figure drawing doesn't address this at all, right? It's usually looking and copying and studying, hopefully some studying. But what we're trying to do is bring a sense of movement and life to our figure drawing, which makes total sense, right? Because we're drawing live models and they're doing things. And when these models are still, you still want to imagine them in motion, right? So this also therefore brings us to how we physically act, emote, and move. So not only, my point with this slide is it's not only just about the physics and sort of science behind motion and gravity and such, and all the equations that hide behind all that, but that our motion creates emotion, right? How we think and how we emote, how we communicate comes out of that, which turns into acting, right? Which is actually really important for animating, and I think for illustration, and again for figure drawing. So what we're all going to talk about today, that me and the other figure drawing instructors, the force figure drawing instructors, is like, why is it going to be force for each one of them? And I have no idea what they're going to say, by the way. Like, we haven't talked about their answers, so you know, I'm kind of curious to hear what their insight is. And I can probably go on for literally 24 hours straight as to why I draw with force, and just keep discussing all the different aspects of it. For me, I mean, it's obviously, as you all know, a huge part of my life. You guys, meaning the audience and all of the students and artists around the world that have taken on force drawing over the last 20 years, have become a huge part of my family. But with all that stuff aside, I picked one thing to talk about today because I'm leaning into CTN. And, you know, like I said, acting, motion, all that's really important. Understanding that, I believe my core value in all this force work is that force is the first thing and the most important thing, because it really does define the gesture and the function of the pose. And that gesture implies the function of it, but at the same time, it also implies the acting and performance as well, right? And when you're in the world of entertainment, everything you're learning from me that deals with understanding the function and the sort of academia behind that becomes secondary, right? That's just skill that you need to actually discuss the acting and performance itself, right? So I thought what I would share with you today is this little animation that I did. This, by the way, was done on my iPad in Procreate. For those of you that aren't aware, the latest versions of Procreate actually have animation ability in them, which is pretty cool. And I did this little octopus because I watched that documentary called My Octopus Teacher. So while I was drawing it, I did this animation, and I brought this in here because I wanted you to be aware of how force drawing is like directly attached to this. This is like basically just an abstract blob with a tail on it, right, that I'm calling an octopus. All right, and there's some bubbles on it and so on, right? But it's all about force, right? This is, to me, a very simple abstraction of force and how it's moving, right? And there's, you know, there's anticipation, right, which means the squashing down here, right? So we squash down to propel forward. There's a leading edge, which is the very front end of the octopus, like cutting through the water. There's mass and form and shape, right? So force, form, and shape are all in something as simple as this octopus. You can see me wrapping here to help my brain think about how I want the octopus to go back in space, right? So all this stuff comes from the way I draw the figure, right? So I'm animating forcefully. Now, that doesn't mean that all animators, ironically, draw or animate forcefully. They may lean just purely on timing and spacing from one drawing to another. But when I animate, I'm animating through the abstraction of force itself. Like, that's really my my goal. So I thought what I would entertain you guys with today for the next few minutes is, let me shut this off. I brought in a reference here today of one of our models, Trinda. And I'm going to turn these layers on. And I thought I would try to take us from like a beginning to a middle to an end with this and just see what happens. So see if we can make some magic happen here. I'm going to try to invert what Trinda is doing here. And I'm going to do it from a place of force, right? Let me shut this smoothing off. That always drives me bonkers. So I'm going to reverse the fact that his pelvis is pushing out here and have it push out the other way. All right, like so. I'm going to be really simple and crude. I just want to get the energies down, okay? Again, I'm drawing for ideas. Notice I'm not drawing for perfection. I'm drawing my thoughts. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to set this up to get me to the next place. Okay. Let's draw the next key. I'm going to go all the way over here. Let me get this timeline set up here to the next place. There we go. Okay. And, feel free to ask questions while I'm doing this, and the other guys will track that for me. All right, and let's see if we can get this happening in here now. And I'm going to be, like I said, fast and crude just to get the idea. By the way, I've done this before in figure drawing classes, pretty new, right before the whole virus started, and I was teaching at some of the colleges in the San Francisco area where I live. I had students go buy animation paper, and we would have the model take poses in 3 steps, like I'm doing today, actually. And that was really awesome. Like you started learning that force, came from motion, right? So we had the models go through a movement to better understand what force actually means, so you don't just look at any kind of pose anymore and think that it's only, it's only about that one moment in time, right? That there's more to it than that, right? The model, Trinda here, the model, he had to sweep his body this way to get to this place, right? So keep that in mind. Okay, let me knock this back. All right, so this is kind of interesting here. We definitely want to get this shoulder. I have to pay attention to from this to this, right? And there's an arc there that I want, right? So I'm going to throw it like this, and I'm going to lean it closer towards the end, towards the third drawing, because I want to quickly get from here to here, and not to go into a giant animation lesson, but spacing equals speed. So the closer I put him here, and this is further apart, means he'll go quickly from here to here and slow down from here to here, right? So I'm going to push over here like so. Straighten out his pelvis a little bit. Maybe have him bending forward. And then it'll snap into him leaning back. We'll have to figure out where we want his arm to go. Let's get this one starting to pull out. Maybe his leg is more forward here and then pops. I'm in between the 2 legs I drew already. Notice I'm just trying to plant the feet in the same place over and over again, so that stays consistent. Maybe we start to bring this arm up already. I want to clear it from his face. I'm worried. This is called an in-between, right? I don't want the in-between to block his face if possible, right?
Mike, there's a question in the chat.
Please.
No fun. It says that's the nickname. How do you go from force type drawings when you're learning to more, I guess, cartoon styles or rendering for final work? Or should I go through the whole process before implementing force concepts?
I'm not sure if I understand the whole.
I believe
thing at the end.
he means that if force drawing is just quick sketches like what you're doing right now.
Yeah, no. Force is, well, first of all, I think that this is the foundation. I want my goal with you guys from week to week here is to really believe and understand that force is step number 1 to all of those other things. And I would say to this particular artist, a few weeks back, we did a force live session on what's the right order to learn in. I would say watch that, because that'll help you understand why this is step number 1. And then this leads to, animation, character design, storyboarding, concept art, comic books. But you want to start here. This is the foundation, right? Is, hey, can I draw this guy and just get a sense of what he's doing, right? So here's my roughs, right? But yeah, watch that video. We spend an hour, right? All four of us going over what that curriculum looks like. And I kind of spell out what I think a curriculum would be. So here's my animation, right? And my goal here today in doing this with you is I just want you to see, to me, this is how I think about figure drawing. You know, when I'm drawing the figure, I see the model in these moments in time, you know, moving into their positions to get to that place, right? And it also allows me to push them, you know, further beyond that to build out story and try to get my drawings to have some kind of entertainment value to them, right? It's different than the studying, right? If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see actually this past week I've been doing lots of studies, right? And here we've gone through gestures. So, you know, this is the foundation. The study stuff comes after, where it's like more specific, more accurate. It's anatomy, right? Like really looking. Where here, I'm just trying to get the core of the main ideas, you see? So I hope this just helps you guys understand force comes from animation. You know, this here, if I were to analyze this real quickly, you know, I'm very aware in here of like all this applied force is trying to push its way out here, you see. Here, it's here, right? And I've drove through all of these with that driving the direction that got Trinda into the pose, you see. So you see that orange, that's the applied force. Notice how it drives us back there, right? So you want to think about the body having internal energy, basically pushing itself outward, right? And it's kind of cool to see over a couple of drawings just how that starts to work, right? All right, so that's my segment. Any other questions before I leave? I've learned link force typography. You can do exercise what you learned so art. Yeah, okay, so I think we're good. I'm going to pass it off to Diego next. Thanks for watching. Go check out ctn-live.com. That's the website. There's still a bunch of guest speakers coming on for the rest of today, and then Saturday and Sunday as well. And hopefully I'll see you guys there next year. That's the only convention currently that I've been attending more regularly over the last few years. So if you want to meet, that's the place for us to actually meet face to face. Okay. All right. Thank you guys. I'm going to hand this over to Diego.
All right, it's my time to speak. Okay,
Yes.
so what I thought about doing today, it was kind of free talk about what we feel about force drawing. And so I want to start with the very beginning. The first time I get into force drawing, I find out one concept that changed the way I do forever, right? And there's one thing, and that thing is a line. I think the first thing I heard Mike said was, "Your line is an idea," right? And till that moment, that phrase blew my mind. So every time I put down a line today on a paper, I think about that. That's an idea. So if you draw whatever you want to draw, it doesn't matter the way you draw, it doesn't matter the style, it doesn't matter the method you're learning, whatever. A line is an idea. And if you throw a line any place because you just, that doesn't mean anything. And I have a whole theory about the parrot, the Mike's love, but that's kind of the thing, right? Line is an idea. So every line you put down on the paper needs to mean something. So again, I'm going to draw today, and I thought about doing the thing that you love, I think, of me, that is those kind of drawing with few lines, but communicates movement. So there's a lot of force in there. So let me show you the reference I'll be using. You'll be seeing it on my phone here, but that's the reference I'll be using. So check it out for a second. You'll be seeing it here on my camera as well. So let me share now the camera. I'll be drawing traditionally today. So you see me here. Everyone can see my paper and the reference. It's that okay? Okay. While I draw, I want you to keep talking about force. There's another thing I'm going to be drawing really slow because I'll be also explaining what I'm doing. The second thing is, if it's wrong, you're learning. So fear not about being wrong, making a mistake, or if the final drawing doesn't look good. And you know why? Because your drawing is fun. It's fun, the process of learning. So if you're failing and you're making a mistake, that's okay. That's okay. It's part of your learning process. So keep drawing. Okay. So what I'm doing here is this is a mix of everything, because we are there's only just one Mike Matesi, there's only one Suen Lee, there's only one Ritunjay, there's only one Diego. So when we teach a forced drawing, we teach in a way of hierarchy and priorities that you need to go through in order to learn these concepts, right? So that's not a process you always have to follow step by step, little by little, dot by dot, word by word. Once you understand what you're trying to say, you can change it completely, right? But the concept should remain. So what I see here is this. It doesn't matter how much I change that line. I'm seeing this guy coming here and bending over, right? So that's my main idea here. I'm also thinking about the volume or the form or the mass about it, right? So I got that. Is this accurate? Maybe, maybe not. We'll fix it during the process. Here, we're gonna have the head. I'm also watching angles, right? I'm watching angles there to find where that head is going, right? We got this arm, comes here and go that way. I'm also using the clothing to see the direction of that line, of that arm, sorry. Okay, so it's coming here. Check, the hand is actually in the other direction. So I'm coming and then I'm going that way. All right, we have the other leg here. We have the knee. We have the lower part of the leg coming back, okay? This shoulder is higher, right? Let's put that there. Here, I can also use here like the center to find, look at here. See the belt? That is a little moved to the right. I'm going to move it back. I'm going to put it on the center because it's going to help me show where the center is. And that's the natural center. Of course, you can have the belt in any position on your body, right? You can move it to one side or to the other. But let's use things on the reference that is going to help us say something more obvious, to make it obvious to the viewer, right? So this arm is coming this way. So I'm going to use some of these folds in the cloth to get to that elbow. Then we come here, right? And use some folds there. Okay, we're gonna have here like this. And let me put the hand, I'm fixing right now because it looks like it's not getting to the position where I want it to be. So I'm fixing it. Let's get the hand there quick and get the sword out. Okay, this is not the same angle, but I don't care because I'm creating, I'm just playing around with this. Okay, I'm playing around. Okay, so I'll keep adding things. Here we have this coming down this way. We have this leg. Now, the pants are going, sorry, the pants, don't be polite and tell me if if you don't kind of see what I'm doing. So the pants are going that way, but I want to show that the foot is coming towards us. So I want to use this kind of line to get it there, right? But going back to force, because I'm not forgetting this, this is this. This is this, right? This is outside, inside, outside, right? Here is form, right? I'm understanding the direction of this head. Let's get from here to here. the hand. How should I do that? Should I go with a sorry, once
Yeah,
again.
I was just gonna call that for you. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Should I go from I need to go from this shoulder to here that it's the hand. So how should I do that? Should I go like this? Or should I go from point A to point B with one line? And I think this is better because it's clear. I don't have to make the viewer think too much about that. Okay, so now I can use again clothes to show the direction of that, right?
I want to just step in for a quick second to
Yeah, go ahead.
just because I see a response here. Someone was saying, "Oh man, it's so hard." Brianna was saying it's so hard for me to make just one right line for me. So the key here is not, Brianna, to make one line, literally one line. What Diego's really talking about here is it's an idea of getting from A to B. You can do that, 3 to 4 or 5 times, meaning the same length of line, because the A to B represents the length of the concept. If you can get it done in one line, great. If you can't, no big deal. And that's why we have something called soft touch, where you come in more gently and build up to that accuracy. But to Diego's point, the A to B represents the length of an idea, and therefore that is then the length of your line, So don't feel like you've got the pressure of I've got to get it done in, one mark. Diego's been doing it for some time. If you can get it one mark, great, but I wouldn't make it a concern is all, or a stressor. Come in gently, lightly, right, and kind of build up until you get to the practice of the length of that thinking, and that your brain starts thinking longer, and then you get more bold over time. Thanks.
Okay, cool. So, well, I'm adding a couple more of things here. It looks a little bit distorted because I'm this way, so don't worry about that. But the whole idea of this is to be able to see what I'm doing. Let me move here a little bit so I can draw it small. The whole idea here is this, right? So we have this foot, we have this other leg going here, here, and see how fast I can get this idea, right? See how fast I can get this. And also giving an answer to no, I don't remember the name, but
Brianna.
no, the other guy who asked if force.
Oh yeah, earlier, right?
Yeah, don't care about finishing. Actually, if you want, you can go on. To me, the force concepts are really cool, right? Are really cool. Once you learn how to draw, applying these concepts will make your figure drawing much more dynamic, right? Because take a look at this. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about this, like Mike shows, the leading edge, right? I'm thinking about balance, right? I'm thinking about all these concepts, and now it's time to render. Imagine it's time to render. So yeah, I can go and start adding some dark in there, some shadows. I start drawing clothing, overlapping things, getting the sword, learning how is this thing created for the sword, learning about hands, how to draw hands, whatever. You can keep adding concept to that on top of it. But if your figure drawing looks stiff, it is a stiff forever. You won't be able to change it. So to sum up and don't eat time for how are we on time? How are we doing in time? Oh, I'm
a
almost
couple more
perfect.
minutes. Yeah.
So to not eat the time of the other guys, the thing what I'm going to say is learn how to draw, apply this concept as a force, and then do whatever you want, right? Because you need to be able to draw figure drawings alive, because they are alive unless it's a corpse. If it's a corpse, it's dead, right? If it's not a corpse, this guy won't be here forever, right? I know everyone here knows that this guy came from somewhere and is going to some other pose, because Otherwise, Hill became a corpse quickly because he's going to die, he's staying in that pose forever, right? So he's alive, he's moving. So what I can tell you that Force gave me is the understanding of, and I'm going to write this down because to me this is really important, how things work. You know, you're thinking what's going on here, right? What is going on here? Because you maybe use the action line. Oh, the action line is this. Awesome. That's great. And what that helped me? Okay, it's a line. That's good. Then where to go? I need to think about this. I need to think about the compression that's going on here. I need to think that this leg is supporting all the weight. So it's important where I place it, right? I cannot play this leg here because if I put it here, this whole guy is going to fall. So all of those concepts of things, how things work, is what I get out of Force. Okay, so I suggest you to get Force in your arsenal because those are really great concepts. And thank you, Mike, for sharing this concept with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being a Force instructor.
Yeah.
And being such an awesome one. And the first one, by the way, everyone.
Oh.
Yeah, Diego was the first on board. So.
Okay, so now it's time to Swanley, right? Because we're going age down.
Yes, today was age down. That's right. Thanks for telling everyone.
Actually, Ritunje is the older. That's
yeah. Exactly. My gray hair kind of gives me away.
Yeah, I'm 21.
21. That was even before I got into Disney. Still in school.
Yeah, we're doing this our young blood.
Yeah, young blood.
You guys can see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So why Force drawing? Man, that was such a long list when I thought about that question. But let me start here. I grabbed this drawing. It's from 2015 because I can remember this drawing as if it was yesterday. Like, man, I was doing gesture drawings from around 2010, I think, up to this point, almost every day, faithfully, I was taught. But man, it was such frustrating for me to be able to pose my characters, And I remember when I was trying to design this character, I was like, man, I had it, There has to be a better way to do this, I was so frustrated and I was like, I'm going to go on a journey to master, posing my characters, whatever it costs, because I see a lot of guys out there who are fantastic at it. So, if they learn it, I must be able to learn it as well. So that's this was like the turning point for me to go on this quest to master gesture drawing. And in doing that, that led me to Force drawing. And then I grabbed this other one from this one I did recently. And when I was done with this one, it was the exact opposite. I was like, okay, it used to be such a big struggle for me to be able to draw and pose just one darn character, and now I'm at the place where I can, I'm aiming for 3 poses, and this was relatively easy to do. So I just wrote down which poses I wanted for the character, and then I looked up some references, I sketched the poses, and then I cleaned it up, and I was like, whoa, look at how far I've come with the right training, from struggling with one character to being able to draw one character in 3 different poses and keep it on model. That for me was a very satisfying and a huge step forward in doing that. So that's one reason. And the other main reason I would say is working with shapes. My first formal training in drawing was when I studied industrial design. I had some wonderful instructors there who taught me how to draw, especially draw in perspective and form and how to draw and render geometric forms. So, and even in figure drawing, like that's the way I've learned it. And so the only way I could draw was by using primitive forms, spheres, boxes, and cylinders, which resulted in drawings which had good structure. But man, it was so hard to keep them fluid and dynamic, and also to work with shape. Like I always was fascinated by animation, and I saw these guys out there working with shape, and I was like, man, I really want to learn this. But the drawing methods that I've learned up to that point didn't manage, for me at least, I didn't find any drawing method that managed to incorporate shape um, effectively into the drawing process. And then I came across force, and here I saw this drawing method where like gesture, which can relate to force. So gesture, form, and shape were combined almost seamlessly into one another, and the drawing didn't lose its sense of fluidity nor structure.
What do you mean
Uh,
almost?
Sorry?
What do you mean almost seamlessly?
Okay, let me take it back. Seamlessly.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, like these two things, and especially working with shapes, like that was like for me the selling point when I saw how Mike was able to incorporate shape into the drawing process. That was for me the moment where I said, okay, I'm going to become this guy's students and learn this stuff, you know. And as you can see, it's a like a big difference. Like these drawings were also from around 2014 or 15, I think, where I was drawing primarily with spheres, boxes, and cylinders. And again, good structure, but the drawings were kind of stiff. You know, if you compare it to um, this one with force, like that's a huge difference. You know, these are just a couple of simple force shapes with some structure and anatomy here and there. But man, it was like a world of difference. You know, so for
I
me
think
again.
when I look at your two drawings, sorry to interrupt, but
Mhm.
like you drew pretty well, right? Most students I think would be pretty damn happy to draw the way you did there on the left. There's a lot
Mhm.
of stuff going on. I think the big difference you could see, well, there's a couple of things that really stand out for me. The first thing is the drawings on the left, the body does not feel like it's one whole idea. Like, sure, the whole body's there, all the parts are attached, but it's almost like that wooden doll sculpture you buy at art stores. You know, it's like everything's kind
Yeah.
of positioned in its place, but it's not whole. And then the second thing I think that really allowed you to individualize yourself and speak more in your own voice is the shape thing you were talking about. Now you started stylizing things, right? And you started pushing shape and character design, and the other ones are very academic without the full connectivity, and there's no sense of personal voice, you know. And I think you really exploded there, which is why you became a character designer.
Yeah, indeed. And to your point, like I when I was thinking about this today, I realized that because when I do the drawings here at the left, like I wasn't copying, you know, I was still analyzing. What I realized I was taught to analyze the structure of things, but I was never taught to analyze the function of things, to understand how things work, and especially the human body, you know, understanding the mechanics and gravity. Like balance was often talked about, but I never um, was taught to look at it from a perspective of real physics, you know, to really understand how things work and the rhythms and balance and all that stuff.
Right.
So yeah, okay. Let me also do a quick demo. Let's see. So I grabbed this reference because when I looked at it, like I loved all of the twisting going on in the torso. So that was my main point of inspiration, right? I mean, if I decided to grab like a stiff and boring pose, like I would make my life much harder, you know. And I think 2 weeks ago we talked about that, right, Mike, about picking or using reference correctly, and
Right.
how you must pick reference based on your purpose. You know, so here I want something dynamic, something inspiring. So I'm going to start with that torso. And I'm not going to, or I should say, I'm going to play with like shapes and proportions. I can see all that twisting going on in the back, and then how it connects into that hip. I'm going to elongate the upper part just to play with design and my own voice, like Mike pointed out. I'm going to keep this quick and loose for time's sake. This twist going on. I can see volume, see the direction of that hip. Now I want to show that her left leg is coming towards us in contrast to the other one, which is going away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the other way, and this one is going to go away from us. Hitting the inside knee. And this one would be going away. Let me play a bit with scale there. I want to make this one like really small there in the distance. Start getting some of the anatomy, defining the hips.
While you're drawing, Swenley, there's a little contest going on out there about your age. You want to share that, or is that a hidden secret?
About my age, what are people saying?
Oh, it's been all over the board. 30s, 40s, 20s. Yeah.
40s.
20.
Whoa.
Yeah. 21 to 40 was like the broad range. 34, 28. Yeah.
Yeah. I heard the right answer in there. 34.
34. Wow, Raphael nails it. 34. Good job, Raphael.
All right, let's see. Who's keeping track of the time?
You have a few more minutes. You're doing all right.
Okay.
So, functionally, it's interesting to look at this drawing, everyone, right? Because right now she's going to fall on her face.
Yeah.
Right? Like we have this nice wide structure of the feet and the legs, this giant overhang of her upper body hanging up in the air. And we finally have a column that's like landing us down on the ground, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm drawing primarily with 4 shapes, of course. The shoulder blade needs to be a lot larger relative to the huge rib cage. This one is going. And I think one thing that Mike said that really was like a game-changing moment for me in terms of drawing with shape is when you mentioned, Mike, that you realized at a certain point that you can arrive at good structure by sculpting the figure with force instead of building with primitives.
Mm-hmm.
Like that for me was like a huge epiphany moment, I would say.
Cool.
That really changed the way I draw. Like I'm thinking more about sculpting, just instead of using clay, I'm using line.
Right. Yeah, there's a great quote talking about animation this week in CTN. The quote I love sharing with students that Glenn Keane said was, draw the shape of the form, right? So form first, but be aware of its silhouette, be aware of the shape, but keep in mind that shape is filled with structure and form at the same time. And it's this tricky thing of thinking 2-dimensionally and 3-dimensionally at the same time.
Yeah, indeed. It takes good practice.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, I'm keeping things fast and loose, and I just keep going over the drawing, and changing, making sure that things work. Like often students think that, they have to draw everything in one line, and that could come from a place of either arrogance or just fear, putting the pressure on yourself that you have to do it right at once. And for me, it's more a process of, curiosity and exploration. Like there is no guarantee that this drawing would look good, especially like demoing with people watching. But I just learned to stop caring, literally. I mean, whatever comes out comes out, and once you learn how to draw, you know that you can fix it. So that's not an issue anymore.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I think it actually becomes a really big confidence builder, if you
Yeah.
start learning and you get better, you realize, it doesn't matter. I can fix this. It's okay if I make mistakes, and I'll fix it. I learn how to fix it. You get better at it. I think in some way I have to say learning how to draw helped me, build my confidence just as a person,
Yeah, indeed.
To jump in a little bit, I think that's the only way to learn, by making mistakes.
Yeah.
If you do it right the first time, that's lucky. That's not knowing. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. If
Beginner's luck.
Yeah, you can do it again and you won't do it good. So you need to fail over and over and over again until you understand what you're doing. Once you understand what you're doing, you will hit the point more times that you're going to miss. But at the beginning, you're going to miss like every time.
Also important because if you get it right, like the very first time, if you're and very satisfied about it, you won't be going for experiments, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, yeah, I got it. I got it. And why do I need to explore more?
So how am I doing on time?
You're 3 minutes over.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the share.
All right, thank you, Swenling.
Give it over to Mithunjay. Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, let me share my screen.
Our young anchorman is going to bring up the rear.
Yes, let's do it, guys.
Let's do it.
Right. So yeah. So why force? The first thing, it's not about, some people take it as like a style. Okay, so maybe like the drawings that we are talking like we do, maybe seems like some people take it as style. So it was like, yeah, force has a definite style. Obviously now it has a definite style because there are like some concepts that we are going through. But the thing is, and going back to the first topic, that force is an idea and idea is in the line. So everybody's like, for example, like drawing the same model, and everybody's going to have like different ideas related to the model, and that's what's makes you a different person, okay, in drawing and also like thinking, because you have your own ideas looking at the model. So for example, everybody's like drawing in a class, and a model is standing between them, like there are like 20 people there. So some of them may be like want to study anatomy there, some wanted to study form there, some wanted to study gesture there, okay. And so yeah, it always always throws you to the first topic, that stick that first thing into your mind, that your drawing is only as good as your ideas, okay. So, and it is as simple as it sounds, that if you have good ideas about it, not good or bad, but if you had like correct ideas about the model, then you'll find all the answers, okay. So yeah, I'll be like start to draw and then like talk in between again. Okay. So this is a reference I'm going to be using. And yeah, so going back to the next topic, I want to talk about like the fear thing, okay? Because the one thing that always stops you is, let me get my digital newsprint on. Okay, and here we go. Yeah, so the first thing that always like stops anyone, okay, is like the fear, okay? It doesn't matter if you learn force or any other thing or, whatever. It's just about, if you're fearful about it, you're not gonna get it, okay? Just mark my words, okay? So the fear, fear is like, in India, there's like a saying, okay, that, I cannot say it in Hindi right now because most of you don't understand that. But the thing is, it is just like, if I translate it in English, it's just like, in a cover of a sword, only one sword can live. Okay, it may be like a bad translation, but you get the idea. Okay, it means that either in drawing, in terms of drawing, either you can have fear in your mind, or you can just have let yourself like free enough to like explore things around. Okay, so that's like the greatest barrier that you can have. Uh, while learning anything, okay, it's not about drawing or anything, it's just like the biggest fear you can have while learning anything, okay? So yeah, that's one of the things. And so why force, one of the things it's going to create for you, again, as I said, fear, it's going to like squelch away all your fear. And if you want some like tips there, I was not, I was lucky, not to get to that place, because when I was like, where I was like drawing here and just like this, until at least like I'm conscious about it. Okay. So, of course, in the early age, I was like literally drawing like this, but I wasn't like aware of the like all these psychological things, of course. uh, Force actually like gives me that freedom of drawing, like not being fearful of like what's happened. And any of the drawings that you see me do, like posting on the Instagram or wherever, wherever you see my drawing, I, I'll I know it's not just what you see, there's like maybe like hundreds of drawings that that went fail, okay? And we don't care about them. I mean, I respect them, but we don't care about them if they are going bad, okay? So that's one of the things. um, you will hear me saying like million times like this thing that that drawing is just a drawing, it's not. I mean, you're not gonna die. Just think about it. You're not gonna die, literally. Okay, so like death is not standing behind you with the cider. It's like, yeah, you do the drawing wrong, you're gonna get killed. Okay, it's something like this. You can just like always go with the second piece of paper. And that's also one of the things, because speaking about tools a little bit, that is why we're drawing on the cheap papers, because to get your fear away from it, okay? Because if you're like, for example, drawing on a like a $20 per piece paper, you're gonna be like, oh my god, if I'm ruining it, what's gonna happen? you know so yeah, that is why just practice on the cheap paper. And yeah, like smooth instrument, great for that. So anyways, I'm not like going for the tools, but I just like want to tell you that fear, just get it out of your mind. You cannot live or learn with the fear thing, okay? So anyways, I'm focusing on this like really negative space there just to clear up the silhouette, okay? So that's one of the things. All right, so second, you guys want to add something to it, the fear thing?
I don't know. For me, if I were to add anything, I'd say just on a personal note, I think what probably surprised me and the other Forest artists when you came in out of nowhere like a meteor was that you had such a lack of fear. You just came in so boldly from the beginning. And I remember our first conversations and me asking you why that was happening, what you were thinking about. And, you were just so, I guess, obvious in saying, look, if it's wrong, I'm just going to throw it away. I'll just start a new one, which I agree with. That is the attitude to have. And it's interesting that most of us are just so concerned about getting our ideas on the page and being embarrassed, by what comes out and how we emotionally attach ourselves to our work so much, right? That it's scary to show it, and I think one of the things that you can do to learn as fast as possible is to be as bold as possible, like fail boldly, and I think Mrityunjay's rise to forceful ship has happened so fast on the fact that he's so fearless, or the flip side of that, we could say is just that he's so confident, you know, which I think is an awesome trait of yours that I really appreciate.
Yeah. That's a metaphor, you know, I'm using all the time because, you know, I'm not gonna die. And one of your metaphors, actually, I love that is, you know, we are not hunting sharks. That's
Yeah,
also
we're not
like,
shark hunting, we're not skydiving, although I have done that. I haven't done the shark thing yet, so I'll give myself real cause to be to be scared. But in drawing, we know there's no reason to be scared. So,
yeah, one
to
of the,
be
again,
corny, I mean, to be corny, what's that line? You know, the only thing you have to fear is fear itself, right? Is what President said. And that is very true. Very, very true. So just keep that in mind.
yeah, that's a great thought. And so, all right, guys, you know, one of the things before, you know, we close this, I think we got like a couple more minutes. So, yes, yeah, one of the thing is like experience about the drawing. Okay, so it was like, you know, it's like kind of like enjoyment to me, like more than being, you know, being pressured about it. It's like, um I never tired of drawing, you know. And some of you may be amazed to hear that when I was so tired, I do drawing to relax myself, you know. It's kind of like a spa that I have, you know, after that I work, because you can use your paper and tools for, you know, for anything, like the feeling out. Okay, if you're like your boss just like scold you on the work and you're like so angry about it, you cannot I mean, you cannot show it to your colleagues, but you can show it to a paper. So it's like, yeah, you know, I just like want to relax myself, and I'll just like, you know, just cheer the hell out of paper, you know. So it's something like this, you know, not to be like very specific to it, to the anger thing, but the thing is that you can always like enjoy like drawing. Okay, it's all about like experience. So I think, you know, like artists don't have diaries, you know, they write. This is your diary. Okay, so for example, you're going in a drawing class, you would have like a diary with a model. Okay, so it's like, yeah, this is the experience I felt about him. Okay, and with the model, okay, modeling is a big art, you know. It is a really really big art that I respect, like highly respect, because that is very very hard, you know. Some poses may look easy to you, but you know, they are like really giving efforts to it. You know, it is very very hard, you know. And if we were to do it, we'll be like, oh my god, my back is hurting a lot, you know. And sometimes it happens, you know, when they're just roaming around and seeing the artist drawings. Some of them I think like, yeah, this is not the equal efforts that I give, you know. I cannot see like the efforts of mine into the drawing itself. Okay, it's just like a copy. Okay, basically. So again, yeah, just go for the experience. I would say, you know, you would enjoy a lot. um, some one person asked in chat about the rendering thing. Okay, um, yeah, obviously you can take this drawing all to the like the rendered stage there. Yeah, it's obviously your choice, you know. But the thing is, you should be going this way, you know, with the accuracy and the rendering and the beautifulness of it. You should have the spice of experience to it, I would say, you know. It will make your drawings like 1,000 times or million times better, I would say. Yeah. So we have some like closing thoughts before.
No, I mean, thank you so much. Really happy that you're here as our youngest force member. I think you're a good example of, again, coming in confidently, courageously, and just attacking drawing, right? And look at how far it's gotten you, with as quick as it's gotten you to this place, and becoming a force instructor at such a young age. There was a question somebody, I think it was Brianna, had asked in the chat about, do I have a sort of a limit to how many force instructors, I want? And I have no limit in my mind. I don't, if there was 50 force instructors, that'd be great. It's more about the difficulty of finding them. I think it's hard to find artists that not only understand how to draw with force, and there's many of them out there now in the world, but that are also interested in teaching and that are good at teaching. Those are very unique attributes. So trying to find all of that wrapped in one person, I think, is you know, is a challenge. And I'm fortunate enough to have, you know, Swenli, Diego, and Mrityunjay support me with my, I guess, my life's endeavor of, you know, helping you guys understand force and what it means to bring this experience to your drawing. So thank you again, guys. We have to run. We will see all of you next Friday. For those of you in the US where we don't see you Thursday, have a great, happy and safe Thanksgiving. Yeah, and we'll see you next Friday. All right. So take care, everyone.
Yes, take care. Bye-bye.
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 Have a great weekend.